My own personal close encounters, life has been very, very threatening to me. It hasn't been so easy, but I've been able to, find myself surviving all this time. There are issues concerning our health that cannot normally be expressed outwardly or verbally. No matter how you try to, it won't be possible to express it because the sudden effects that happens to every human being cannot be necessarily properly explained or properly be put to words. And somehow you cannot also predict what the day will be today or tomorrow. So therefore I sort of embrace, not necessarily embrace, but I accept what has come or what comes to me. But at the end of the day, I also have every right within the strength, the breath, within the breath, of me, the breath and length of me to be able to sort of reject and analyze things as best as I could. If someone was to ask me, what is the video about? The video is mainly about culture and religion, an issue which I felt needs to be tackled. Now, what is wrong with culture and what is wrong with religion? There is a lot wrong with religion. There is a lot wrong with culture in terms of the reasons why I believe that our decision making, our norms, the moral standards we have in life, whether you or I might think of it as something which is not very much, let's say, hasn't got too much of a valid acceptance to society. No matter how you see it, I see it as something which has got so much substance in society. I mean, whatever life you choose to live, that life in every way has got to be able to sort of work alongside with the society within all those that you share the environment with. Let's say you are a Christian, or let's say a Muslim. The life you live every day have got every significant relations to the people that you share the life with. That is, people close to you or people from afar. It's a society, and it is undeniable when it comes to figuring out what you should do with your life or what life should be for you. And because of that, I begin to sort of analyze things my own way through the experiences I went through, which is very life-threatening. And I don't know whether today I'll live or die, but I have experienced the spirit side of the living beings. And this spiritual side of life has so much effects or certain things that I feel that I should feel free to talk about. Do I still experience spirit? Yes, I do still experience spirit. I call it spirit because I know it's a being, it's a living being. But I cannot. The only thing I cannot evidently reveal it physically. It's like you holding a friend and saying, I know Michael Jackson, or I know Dolly Parton, or I know Jimmy Carter, or I know President Obama, or I do know the Prime Minister Cameron, or I know Tony Blair, the former Prime Minister, unless I'm able to prove and sort of in some way, physically or visibly, whatever it is I said will just be mere words. So in that same circumstance, I don't even want to encourage the idea of presenting some mere words. Mere words, I call it to you. I should let it be, in a sense, viewed as telling a story, but a true story. In my case, in my account. Now, the spirit side of things, you might choose to deny it or not to deny it. There are a few who were evidence to these kind of things. That is what I'm grateful of. I'm very grateful for the fact that there were a few evidence when it comes to that. They were actually very present to that effect, and I'm not very much feeling very boastful of it, because there was nothing to be boastful of. It was very frightening. It kept me in a very state of uncertainty, not sure of what tomorrow will be, not sure what today will be. There were no answers, specific answers that I would want. That is the answers that I would have demand now and wish to demand tomorrow, anytime, as long as I have breath in me. And that is the same thing that has led me to this, because when it comes to culture and religion, they all relate to what we call spirits. Because culture call on spirit, religion call on spirit. They actually relate, in terms of their goal or their approach to life, the way of life, or the way of living life. So why should I have an issue with spiritual things? I mean, we've always had issues with spiritual things for a very long time. There are spirits in the mindset of those who are religious and those who are cultural. They normally have a sense of believing. Some have experienced. Some has encountered it personally. Some also have come across it just by the way of reading books or being told. I was basing mine merely on the emphasis of what the books were revealing and what people were teaching. So I'm in the class of those who only knew it in that sense of verbal presentation or written presentation. That's how I knew spirits, or that's how I end up believing in the existence of spirits. In these presentations that I have mentioned, both the verbal and the written, it doesn't lead you to sort of accept the fact that spirit is necessarily related to the fact God. It sometimes gives you the idea that there is an ultimate supreme God. Fine. And there are spirits. Now, if you search and go further in the written text, you also realize that God can be related to the spirit. God is actually spirit, but deep down, He is the ultimate, Father of all spirit, and including the living beings, us as well. So therefore, you sort of begin to have your mindsets setting between what is truly God and what is truly spirit. Others have defined spirits that are with God as angels. The books also reveal clearly that God is not one spirit, it's many spirits. In fact, in the old teachings of the Bible or the Quran, it's clearly stated. You can see that it is God. The speech of God comes as we, not never I, just we. Except in the Bible where in sometimes of the Moses stories, it revealed, I am who I am. They're sort of slightly, in a very a cheeky answer that he had to give straight to Moses and said, I am whom I am. And that was seen as even his name, or that is how he referred to himself. Moses was so desperate to know the name of the God that was talking to him. Moses was the type of prophet who was desperate to understand, because he had an Egyptian upbringing, even though it was still Jewish, but it was more controlled by the Egyptians. More controlled by the Egyptians, sorry. So in every way, he was into the Egyptian what we call idolic worship. But to me now, I don't see these things as idolic worship, because it is all the sense of seeking. They are seeking for answers. They want to know who God is. And they choose anything that they built on that they can be able to be satisfied, or they sort of see signs or things happening in their life, and they appreciate that. It's the same way everybody that chooses to go along the same route in order to establish his idea of God. So the Jews had that idea of God, and they sort of experienced something more real. They have evidence to that in their own world, in their own understanding, in their own conscience. So Moses has come from there. Moses have experienced it now. This spirit is now speaking to God and speaking to Moses, and saying to Moses, hey, I am the God of the Jews. I am the God of that. I am whom I am. So he has a singular approach at that instance. Now, I don't know about the rest of of